So did I leave the theater with a smile on my face or hate in my heart? That is the question. I just saw Smile 2 the other day, which is the sequel to Smile from 2022. Parker Finn, who is the director of Smile, returns here for Smile 2, and the basic premise of the movie is the same. The Smile entity continues taking victims one by means of brutally killing one person in front of the other, giving a creepy little cheeky little smile, and then transferring to its next victim. In Smile 2, we follow Skye, who is a famous pop star with a very troubled past of trauma and drug addiction. She tries to fight off the supernatural being in parallel with fame, mending past relationships, and redeeming her reputation. Let's start at the beginning because the opening scene is one of the big positives for me. I personally was really worried that they wouldn't continue or explain the cliffhanger that we were left with in the previous film Smile regarding Joel, the cop that inherits the Smile entity from Rose at the end of Smile. But, thankfully, Smile 2 opens with Joel in his presumably last day of living because he has the entity attached to him, and we see his plan start to play out as far as how he plans to get rid of it. I'm thrilled that they brought Kyle Gallner back to reprise his role. He's only there for a short time, obviously, because we have a new lead, a new protagonist in this one, and it's not his story that they're going to explore in Smile 2. But I thought the scene that he was in was well executed, how he tries to get rid of the supernatural being makes sense for his character, and I was just happy he was incorporated into the story. If he wasn't, that was going to be a major damper for me personally. However, one thing I'll note about this opening scene, it's slightly unclear how he ends up passing it to Lewis, which we see in the trailer. Lewis is the one that passes it to Skye. But that's neither here nor there, not a big damper. I will say one of the major differences between Smile and Smile 2 is that I think Smile 2 is much gorier. I think they took it to the next level. And this is a positive for me. For instance, the death of Lewis, which we see in the trailer where he takes a metal plate right in front of Skye, that one's pretty brutal. And I think that the practical effects here are pretty good. We also see bones popping out of legs. We see glass, shredded flesh. We see even some needle stuff. I thought the practical effects here were good, and I did like that they took it to the next level. Naomi Scott, the actress who plays Skye, I thought was really good here. I don't actually think this actress has been in much horror, so I was really impressed at how well she played the part, and I thought that she was really believable in the role. I would not be surprised if we see her in more horror films. I think we may have a Scream Queen on our hands. They also did really well in developing her character, which for me is a must. I need a really good protagonist to root for, a really good developed character where I understand why they're making the decisions they're making and they're doing what they do. I think they did a good job with the character. She's obviously really traumatized by a culmination of many things, and adding on possession by a supernatural entity obviously is a recipe for disaster, and that's a lot for one person to take, right? And I feel like Naomi Scott really embodied the character of Skye very well. I also think there's some genuine scares in the movie. The smile face, as we know from Smile, is pretty effective as a visual, but there's also a couple of scenes that I do think deliver honest scares. There's one that was teased in the trailer where Skye's backup dancers are kind of coming all at her with their smile faces, and they end up playing kind of a game of red light, green light. That's a situation I would not want to be in, personally. Very, very creepy and a little bit different than anything they did in Smile with like a group of people smiling. And also, I think that Skye gets more beat up, so to say, than Rose in the first film, probably because she has more trauma, and obviously that's what the supernatural entity feeds off of. A final positive is the ending. It totally changes the game. And I think it leaves the audience with all sorts of questions pertaining to what the next sequel might entail. Questions about the nature of the demonic entity, what it is capable of, what it will actually do, how it will spread. All these questions, I think that they left it in a brilliant state because there's no doubt in my mind that people are going to be immediately interested in the next film. Like I said, it totally changes the game. Game changer. So on the negative side, I do feel the movie was a bit long, a little drawn out, and it incorporated a couple of unnecessary filler scenes. For example, I felt there were a couple scenes that were drawn out for the sole purpose of getting that big jump scare. I got though. Oh my god, the jump scares got me. At least a couple of them. I don't know if it was just because I saw this in the XD theater and the sound system was a booming, but holy shit, there's some big jump scares in here, but I do think they relied on the jump scares a little bit too much. And that's leaning towards the negative side for me. And the jump scares also are tied to making some of the scenes kind of drawn out. And it's like, okay, we know you're getting to the jump scare, get on with it. This is kind of a small one, but I just did not like the character of Sky's mom. I'm not sure if it was a casting thing, an acting thing, or a script thing, but the relationship between Sky and her mom was not believable at all in my eyes, and I just didn't care for the character. Simple as that. Final critique I have for this film, I felt they went a tad overboard with the amount of times they jumped in and out of Sky's head. I liked these parts. It's obviously a huge part of Smile, but I think they did it too much to the point that it in turn kind of made the movie a bit drawn out, and this relates to what I just said previously about the movie being a little long at times, a little drawn out for just to get that quick scare. But overall, guys, I did like it. I appreciate that it amps up the gore, delivers some decent scares, and does really well on the character development side of things. I feel like this story does flow naturally as well, and the decisions made by our characters tend to make sense, and it fits in the plot line logically, which is huge for me. The ending is unique, and it leaves the audience with questions that they will want answers, so they will show up for this next film, I think. These elements make for a pretty solid sequel. I felt that some of the scenes were a little bit drawn out, and the sole purpose of getting that jump scare was big for them, but I'd expect that in a horror movie, especially a Smile movie. So overall, this is a good one. I give this a 4.25 out of 5. I enjoyed it. Let's see what the general consensus is. Okay, average audience score 3.8, so it looks like it's leaning towards the good side of things. People are liking this. 85% Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. I agree. I think this one is pretty good, pretty solid. 3.8. I gave it a 4.25. So I liked it a little bit better than the average score. Based on that, take that with a grain of salt, right? I will say one thing, at least the plot is fairly similar to the one of Smile. So if you are looking for something unique, a bit completely different than Smile, this one may not be for you. But like I said, it amps up everything about Smile, the gore and the scares. So I think that if you did like Smile and you just want a little bit more, you'll love this one. So I left the movie smiling, not in the creepy way, but in the, okay, good job. What did you guys think? Did you guys like Smile too? How does it compare to Smile? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Thank you guys for watching, and catch me next time. Peace.